pedigree was that we kind of as a culture are less ambitious than some of the graduates who come out of the Ivies. They see where the top is and they want to get there. And maybe I don't know if you guys had the same experience, but you know, as a Krannert grad, maybe the ceiling wasn't as high. So it's really fantastic that that you want to raise that ceiling. So without further ado, so my name is Kelsay with LinkedIn, and basically my job at LinkedIn is to take accounts that are basically starting to dip their toes into the world of social media recruitment and basically hold their hand as they jump in and swim. And so I just wanted to give you guys just a little bit, can everybody see the screen here? This is a quote from Zuckerberg. An exceptional employee is not just a little better than someone who's pretty good, they're 100 times better. And when you talk about attracting the best talent, and certainly in an industry like finance, where talent is the product, it's the highest academic barrier to entry, they pay the most, it's the most sought after jobs for most of the top schools in the world. The quality of your talent directly translates to the quality of your business. And so I'm kind of working with a lot of heads of talent acquisition, heads of recruitment, to help them understand how to basically better recruit that talent and have that talent want to work for them. So, I mean, I think, because we're trying to recruit this talent, and you guys are this talent, I just wanted to, ask, how many of you guys have hired somebody in your professional career? Or been in charge of hiring somebody? And how many of you guys have managed people and been in charge of doing that? And how many of you have kids that will eventually need jobs?
I'd like to have kids one day.
You'd like to have kids? You can raise your hand too.
Have dogs.
Dogs don't need jobs, so.
Well, they do.
Different jobs. And how many of you have changed jobs in the past 2 years? 5 years? 10 years? Or are planning to change jobs in the near future? This is basically an issue that affects everybody. And one of the things that I wanted to talk about a little bit was just how a head of talent acquisition at a top company, Fortune 1000 company, views recruitment, and how their recruiters view recruitment, and how they're thinking when they, basically when the head of equities for Deutsche Bank says to them, I need 5 people for this team. And then they have to go out there and get them. So the thing to keep in mind for recruitment in general and recruiters in particular is that it's boring. And you should really operate, I've dealt with a lot of recruiters in my life, you should really operate on the assumption that they choose the path of least resistance to most things. And if you can make it as easy as possible for them, they will love you for it.
Great job.
So to Young's point, you got to be proactive, and you have to lay out that red carpet for them. And hopefully, Krannert will continue that process of laying out the red carpet for these recruiters. The thing that is different today, that was very different in the way they think just maybe 5 years ago, was that they're starting to realize on a general basis that if a job is open in their company, that the pool of candidates are not just the ones on the job boards. In fact, those are the ones that there's something wrong with their current job, or there's they're slightly we've all probably applied to an open job posting. I know I have, but the thinking that the best talent is actually the one that's not looking for a job, and most likely they're probably very good at what they do. Most likely they are being treated pretty well by their company. But if you were to convince them to come to yours, they would be a superstar on your team instead of a superstar at your competitor. So where do you find those people? So it's what's called recruitment 3.0 in my industry. But basically, where do you find what's called a passive candidate instead of an active candidate, actively looking for a job? Basically, last millennium, we'll call it what it is, there was the thinking that you fill a job by basically three ways. You would put a job post in the local newspaper, or you post a job on Monster, or Career Builder, these types of things. And you're basically, it's expensive to do, and you're basically getting the best talent available. Those who are just, looking for a job at that time for some reason. Or you could go to a headhunter, which is crazy expensive. I don't know if a headhunter contacted you for the job, but he or she probably got 15 to 25% of your first year salary.
By the way, I will tell you, in our particular case at Krannert, he's a Krannert grad, and he waived his fee.
No!
Very nice.
But I will say, the irony to this was, he was the guy who recruited me to go to Connecticut.
That's the way it works. Now, Bill, I gotta talk to him.
That's a long-term play right there.
Yeah, it was very interesting. You had to be very careful.
He's the recruiter the university's hired.
For
presidential search as well.
That's
a good story.
So maybe he'll waive
And I don't
maybe
know
he'll waive
if
his fee there
he's
too then.
waiving
By the
his
way,
fee on the
that's a
presidential
big
search.
fee.
So.
That is a nice fee, yeah.
Anyway.
That's a very nice fee, and because of that, it's very expensive.
He's a great guy and he's very generous.
I'm sure, yeah. I've met many very good headhunters who are nice guys, and girls. But again, it's very expensive to do.
Yeah.
And basically, last century, last millennium, the only way to reach the passive candidate was to go through a headhunter because a job board is not going to get you somebody who's not looking for a job.
By the way, are you putting words in my mouth?
It looks like it.
Yes, I am. I am indeed.
Okay.
The last way would be a referral, an employee referral, and the best companies have very good employee referral programs. I'm sure at Credit Suisse and Morgan Stanley you get paid very well if you referred one of your friends. There's a reason for that. Studies show that over the long term, somebody referred by somebody at your company, more likely to be a top performer, more likely to drive that company's business, more likely to stay with the company so they don't go to a competitor. So it's a very good. All the good companies have very good employee referral programs, and they should. So that's before, and now basically we're in a place where if Chris has to fill a job, he asks, how can I use social media to reach these passive candidates who are superstars in their industry? This was actually a study that came out asking all of these recruiters and heads of talent acquisition, what are the most important things to you and your business from in the next 12 months and the next 5 years? And the number one thing that they said was, if I get this right, utilizing social and professional networks, because that's where the passive candidates are. That's where the superstars are, and they're not on job boards for the most part. So, social media. Got lots of different types. Everybody's on Facebook, everybody's on Twitter. I know I am. It's fantastic. But again, having that separation of your professional and your personal life. That's where LinkedIn comes in. So, it's LinkedIn. It's one of several companies in the world that has built itself on being that professional social network. It's the most successful at it, but there's others. And one of the things that basically it's allowed us to really eat the lunch of billion-dollar companies like Monster and Career Builder, and basically bankrupt a lot of these headhunters and search firms, is the fact that it's the professional network where these passive candidates are. And we make it very easy for these recruiters to reach out and touch them and get in-mails from them. And I don't know if you guys ever received an in-mail from a recruiter on LinkedIn?
Yes.
Okay, so it's working.
No, I'm not going.
So you're all superstars in your industry, by the way, if you haven't.
They're
So I'm sorry, I'm using Young as an example here, but so Young's got a pretty active Twitter feed. He's got a pretty active Facebook page. He's got a pretty well built out LinkedIn page, and you know, again, it's that separation of personal and professional. And in the future, these recruiters know that yes, they're gonna Google you and find out what you're tweeting about and find out what your Facebook page looks like, but they want to know how you present yourself as a professional. And that's a really clean, clear goal of theirs, and it's a clear directive for most of the top companies starting to be, I should say. They're very, it's very comfortable for them going on that path of least resistance argument, for them to continue to do what they have been doing, which is you know, go to career fairs at universities, be physically there, post on job boards, and you know, go to headhunters. And there's just as we move forward, you know, in the next 5, 10, 15 years, you're going to see them go away from that and try to build out their network. And then when they have an open job, reach out to that network, and have that network reach out to their network, and so on and so forth. So, you know, like I said, Young Lee is a brand, and you all are brands. And one of the things that changed when we went from a culture of I work for the same company for my entire career, and have that job security in exchange for being loyal to them, to a culture of you know, every man for themselves, and the company doesn't owe you anything, and you don't owe the company anything. It is now you are your own brand ambassador. And I know, you know, I know probably for most of you this is not telling you anything you don't already know, but I'm saying that the recruiters have this in their minds now, whereas they didn't before. That they are looking at you as a brand instead of giving you the benefit of the doubt. And they're expecting you to present yourself as a brand, both in person with cufflinks and pocket square, whatever you want to do.
Yeah, pocket square.
And online. So, you know, that's something that not everybody, I guess, is aware of when they post on Facebook, or they tweet about it, or you know, YouTube videos, whatever, what have you. But it's something that in the past 5 years, there's been a sea change in the industry to really focus in on how you present yourself online and how you present yourself as a professional brand, basically. So what are some of the things that you guys can do to build your brand? So one of the things that we found being very effective, and actually I found to be very effective in even getting a job at LinkedIn, was participating in active groups and you know, posting things, answering questions, you know, basically connecting, you know, with the people in your network and finding interesting ways to connect with people in their network. And you know, I started a group on LinkedIn, and I know my boss even told me that I was one of the very few candidates that they saw that had actively gone out and started their own group, and were posting and trying to interact with everyone. It shows a kind of a level of sophistication that in the last century was not taking place online, and 5 years ago was not taking place online. Update your status regularly, follow companies. The reason following companies are important is that companies want you to follow them so that they can eventually use you and your network in their job search. So you know, there's As they go into, we have a tool that they purchase that basically they get access to the entire LinkedIn network, and you can search all 120 plus billion members. And when I got to LinkedIn, it was funny because they said, they're trying to make a point in how granular they can get. We have over 300 astronauts on LinkedIn. So you can get, there's tons of professionals on it, so you can get very granular with it. But that also means that you need to basically formulate your profile in a way to where you can get found, because you only get 100 search results when you do any kind of search on LinkedIn. So one thing I can tell you, just as a word to the wise, the algorithm on your job title, when they're searching for job title, don't make it any more than 4 words, and try to make it no less than 4 words. It seems it's the optimal number of words for, because there's a weighting that goes on or whatever, for you to come up in a search. The other thing.
Dean of the school. I got it. Okay,
there you
I'm
go.
gonna go do that tonight.
And yeah, when you're presenting yourself as a professional, think, obviously there's many different many different reasons for having a LinkedIn profile. Not all of them are recruitment related. In fact, we don't want them to be all recruitment related. We want you to make sure that you're connecting with people and networking with people and sharing business advice and articles and these things. But if you think as a recruiter and being able to find you as a candidate, you want to formulate your profile so that you can come up very easy in a search. Because again, recruiters are lazy. It's the path of least resistance. One of the other kind of little cool tools that we have is a job change notifier. I don't know, does anybody subscribe to that?
Mine just shows up. Because when I switch.
It shows up in your feed on LinkedIn, but we actually have a tool that will tell you, if you have 500 people in your network, who that week changed a job. And it'll give you an email and you'll know who changed a job, which I find kind of cool.
I know I have that. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Even though I don't have that many people in my network.
Yeah, and it's a tool that I use to give somebody a congratulations and keep that touch point, keep that networking going. So it's just kind of a nice thing to have.
That'd be great from a development perspective. That'd be great for us to get you maybe tapped into the Alumni Association along those lines.
Exactly.
Follow Purdue.
Yes.
Yeah.
Everybody should be following
I
Purdue.
think we already all are.
Yeah.
We have I
Yeah.
created a New York alumni group too, so
No.
join it.
I was waiting approval.
Did you approve?
Oh, I don't get notifications when someone asks to join. Is that?
We could ask Evan about that.
You're supposed to.
Yeah.
Maybe you caught in your spam. I don't know. But
She deleted it.
one of the things.
Yeah, it's always one of those convenient things. Boy, it's a spam
It's a
issue.
spam.
Yeah, you're dumping on it.
One of the things I did want to point out, though, is that we, as of February, have a guy in the company, a group of people now, who our sole mission is to adopt LinkedIn at the freshman level of undergrad for every school in the world. He's phenomenal at his job. We didn't before, but we now have over 6 million students on LinkedIn. And as a guy who came from a job where you were talking with campus recruiters the whole time, they are trying to find a way around using the Career Center, because that's a huge stopgap for them. They're basically the gatekeepers, especially if you talk to recruiters who deal, Credit Suisse, Morgan Stanley, who deal with the Ivies. They are very much the gatekeepers between any contact between that company and the student. And that's, if you can break down that barrier, you will find a flood of companies who want to recruit your students. That's, I guess a couple of other points from talking with those campus recruiters would be, if I could give you any advice, would just be, again, it's very much the path of least resistance. They go to Dartmouth. The people at Credit Suisse go to Dartmouth not because they think they can get superior talent at Dartmouth as compared to Purdue. It's closer and cheaper, it costs less time, And when they go to a campus, they have to bring some top executive and waste their day, you know, coming on campus, and executives pissed off because now he can't make that amount of money that he was going to make that day for his company. And so, you know, I guess keep that in mind. It's something you might already know, but keep it in mind when you are trying to attract new companies to campus. Path of least resistance. So that's basically what I wanted to leave you with today.